Hi, my name is Will, and this is one of my 10-minute tutorials on procedurals. Procedurals are a way to control curves in either the motion editor or the graph editor. The first four presets, default, 0, half, and 1, all adjust the specific controls along a value of 0 to 1. Default sets the value to its neutral position, usually 0 or 0.5. However, when you apply default to an entire model, the model will revert back to its reference pose, which is the pose the 3D modeler creates it in. So see here I have a soccer ball, and it's offset from the center just a little bit. And so I'm going to click it, and you can see its positions Z, X, and Y are all offset from 0. So when I drag the default preset, you can see that they all close in to 0. And now the ball is centered in the map. 0, half, and 1 are easy enough to figure out from that. The next three presets, Playhead In and Out, all modify curves relative to specific points in time in the timeline. The Playhead preset will bring curves in the timeline selection to the same value as where the playhead intersects the curves. So here I have a quick animation I made of a spy looking to our left. And afterwards he just freezes in the same position. So I want him to come back to the pose that he started in. So what I can do is I can select the time after, then I can move the playhead to the position that I want him to end up in. Then I can drag the playhead preset, and you can see the curves changing as I drag this. And these are now, in the time selection, they are the same as wherever the playhead was when I moved the playhead preset. So now, when I play through, he looks to the side, then he flicks back. And say I don't want him to flick back like that. I can just drag the fall off, and now he blends back into the starting position. In and out will do the same, except instead of where the playhead intersects the curves, it will be where the start of the timeline selection intersects. Out will be where it ends. So I'm just going to press exit to come back to our starting animation. So if I wanted to erase all of this, I could drag the start to the first pose where he's not moving. Then if I drag the in, it's going to set all of these curves to wherever the start of the timeline selection intersects the curves. Now he just remains like that for the whole time. And if I did out, then the curves in the time selection would be set to wherever the time selection ends. So all of these curves in the time selection will be set to wherever the time selection intersects the curves. So now all of this has the same value as the out. The paste preset will blend curves to the same value as which you copied in the time selection. So let's say I want my spy to look to the side twice. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to select all of the information. Then I'm going to right click and go copy samples. I'll move the time selection to the end, and then I'll drag and paste. And as you can see, the curves have changed to the same that they started off with. Drop will revert curves to their original state before you modified them. This doesn't only work with paste, but works with a lot of other ones as well, and it's very helpful. So now he's back to his original state. The good thing with paste is you can drag it halfway, and he'll only do half as much. Jitter and Smooth both affect motion data. This means they will only affect the position of a model and not the time it takes for that change to happen. So let's see here, I have my spy looking to the left, but he doesn't really have a reason to, so I'm going to give him one. I'm going to shake the camera to make it look like there's an explosion happening off to the side, and then he's going to look there. So first of all, I'm going to retime my time selection. Then under camera, I'm going to make sure I only have the transform control selected. Then I'll drag jitter across, and you can see in the motion editor it's changing the curves. So I can preview that, and that looks pretty good, but it's a bit too hectic. So I'm just going to use the smooth. And what smooth will do is it will flatten out peaks and valleys. So as you can see there, it kind of rounds them off. So I'm just going to use that a little bit, maybe about halfway. And now it looks like there's an explosion in the distance, and then he looks to see what's happening. And if I wanted to, I could add a bit of a fall off there, so now it fades away. The next four presets have opposite properties to Jitter and Smooth. Since Jitter and Smooth change the position and not the timing, the next four, Stagger, Hold, Release and Steady, will change the timing and not the position. So let's take a look at this example I have here. I have a soccer ball that rolls along the ground at a constant speed. Pretty boring. No acceleration, no deceleration. So I'm going to select the soccer ball transform control under unknown soccer ball 6, not the root, and I'm going to show you what Hold does. I'll show you Stagger a bit later. So what Hold will do is it will pull curves in the fall off towards the hold of the time selection. So this being a fall off, that being the hold, and on the right side being the end fall off. So let's take a look at what happens when I drag Hold. As you can see, it looks like it's pushing the curves away, and the reason is because it's pulling the curves towards the hold, and because of that it has to balance it out by pushing the curves that are furthest away even further away. So now, as you can see up in the viewport, the white dots indicate the fall off and the green dots indicate the hold. So you can read what's going to happen by looking at these dots here. The further the distance, the quicker it's going to move. So you can see that it starts off fast, then it slows down, then it goes to a constant speed, then it accelerates. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this ball accelerate and then decelerate. So with this hold, I'm going to reduce the hold until it's minimal, and I'm only using the very first fall off. And so what that will do is, since the hold is at the very end, it's going to pull the curves towards it, resulting in steep curves at the start. And a steep curve will mean that there's a big change in movement over a short amount of time. So that's what gives us this deceleration. Now if I wanted the ball to accelerate, I could use the end fall off with the Hold preset. As you can see, it starts off slow, then it speeds up. And if I wanted it to start off fast, then to slow down, then to speed up again, I could put the Hold in the middle. What Release will do is, instead of pulling the frames towards the hold, it will push them away. So I'm going to drag Release, and once again, since it's pushing the frames closest to the hold, it's going to have to pull the frames furthest away. So it will basically do the opposite to what Hold does, although you can achieve the same effects by just moving the fall-offs around. So here I have an acceleration, constant speed, deceleration. And let's see if I can get... That's a deceleration. And an acceleration. What Steady will do is it will give a constant motion. It will equalize the distance between the keyframes. Regardless of whether you're using fall-offs or not. And the reason the ball rolls like this is because I also steadied the rotate, and the rotation will only go from 0 to 360 before it goes back to 0. So you're not going to get a constant line with rotation, you're going to get a very linear up and down curve. So if you steady that out, then you're not going to get a constant rotation. The ramp preset creates a linear transition from the hold's in and out point. Spline will fit a B-spline curve to the values at bookmark points on the timeline that overlap with the time selection. Round takes samples at the edges of the time selection's hold and fall-offs and uses them to round the motion data.